What is happening, everybody? MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video, my NFL power rankings for week 7. Going to do something different this time. Not only am I going to show you my power rankings, I'm going to show you all my lines for all NFL games for today. There's a reason behind that, and I'll get into that in just a second. As always, if you're watching this video for the first time, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Goal is to hit 2,000 subs. Shame on me because I haven't been posting a video. I think the last one we did was 6 days ago. So I got a ton of content coming out this week. I got to drop another video tomorrow. You'll see that on Monday. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed and you watch your channel for a long time, greatly appreciate you subscribing. If you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I send out a ton of content there as well. MGCovers, cover spelled with a Z. So you get a lot of value simply by following me on Instagram. Let's dive into NFL. But before we do that, I want to talk about what's happening in NFL. As you know, if you follow me, NFL has gone through a paradigm shift in the last 2 years. Scoring is down. Unders cashed last year, I think it was 55%. This year, unders in NFL are cashing at 60% year to date. So the sport for NFL has changed. And also looking at my model has not been as accurate as it has been in the past. And NFL was basically my best model. So what I did, I changed the model. And sometimes obviously there's risk involved in doing that. And I'll explain that when I actually get into the model, but it was necessary. And if you're new to the business or veteran, whatever, when is it time to change a model? You change a model when it no longer works. And for me, the way that I build models, I want the model to do a majority of the work. And if there's anything situationally, I try my best in creating that model to put that into the model so that when we're looking at a line, there's not much handicapping left to do subjectively, meaning the model does a large majority of the work. Is there risk involved in doing that? Absolutely, there's risk. But again, I did this with Major League Baseball. We were down about $2,800, made a change, ended up the number one handicapper in my monitoring service for Major League Baseball. So it can work, and consider my experience with models. I do feel good about these changes that we made. Now, to talk about like the approach to this. So here's the deal with NFL. Teams are scoring less points. So we have to figure out why they're scoring less points. Number one, you have defenses are basically playing a two-man shell, basically a man, two under. So they put two deep safeties deep. Everybody else is manned up. Sometimes I mix it up with zone. The reason they're doing this, they do not want to give up the big play. And if you think about NFL this year and you've watched NFL games, not giving away a lot of bombs. So they're making teams work to score those points. So that lowers that creates less opportunities to score, takes teams longer to score. So you have to figure out both sides of it. You have to figure out what teams are doing that defensively, what are they doing to prevent teams from scoring or taking a long time to score? And the teams that are scoring a lot of points, what are they doing differently? And that's basically what I researched. So let's pull up this screen here. Now, what you're looking at, what I did was, and this is a really good example, I used, obviously you can't go back and use stats from the last 3 years. So I really focused on the last 2 years where we've seen this shift. And more specifically, I focused on weeks 4, 5, and 6. And the goal was basically to get weeks 4, 5, and 6 profitable via the model. And if you look over here, just kind of ignore this first column. These are basically plays with value. And then what I did is I organized them in plays with the most value. For example, Houston was -3, Book's line was 3, so that's a 12-point differential. So for weeks 4, we were 4-4. Obviously, cashed some dogs there with Houston. I think that was the only one that week, and looks like Tampa. And then if you go to week 5, same deal there. We ended up 3-2, and then last week the model was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-2 for overall 13-8, which is really good. So that percentage, what's that? 57%, 13 divided by 21. 62%. So really good. And again, that's really my goal, is to let the model, and that's no handicapping at all. That's just straight up plays with value. And if you're testing a model, that's the best way to do it. You want to see how good the model is with no other handicapping, simply handicapping plays with value. And how I assess value in NFL: teams that have at least a 3-point differential between my line and the sportsbook line. Meaning, if my line is -3, the sportsbook has that team at even, we would have a 3-point differential. Okay, that being said, let's dive in and look at power rankings for today, and we'll go through this. All right. So the first game we're going to look at, take a look at Detroit. Detroit is -3, my line, and the books have them at +3. Now, if I was going to play that, obviously I would play that via on the money line. Give me 1 second. I was going to pull up what that money line is probably going to come in somewhere around. I'm looking at it now. Let's see. Yeah, 140, probably 135, somewhere in that neighborhood. Next play, if we scroll down, is going to be Atlanta. And you can see we have a huge differential here. My line is -10 for Atlanta, and the sportsbook having them at +3. Same deal there. You could probably get that for maybe anywhere from +150, +140, +150, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the next one, we'll look down all the way down at the bottom with the Giants there. We have the Giants at -7.5. That line did surprise me there. And they are a 3-point dog. And just so you know, when you see a line +3, +2, +1, field goal or less, those are basically 50-50 games. If you go back and research that in NFL, you'll see that the majority of time it's basically a coin flip game, which obviously long-term favors the dog. All right, scroll on down, take a look at Cleveland there. Cleveland has the best defense in NFL. I'll go ahead and tell you that right out the gate. They are a -9, my model, and are 3.5-point favorites. So we're getting pretty good value there for a favorite. And then we slide over here to the right, looking at Philadelphia. We have Philadelphia -5.5. Wait, let me make sure I read that right, because I don't think we have enough value. My bad on that one. So Philadelphia is, depending on the book, look like it's 2.5 to 3, and my line is -5.5. So if that line's so pretty tight, but I went ahead and listed it anyway. So if we can get 2.5, we'd have value there, a 3-point differential. And then finally, San Francisco is -10 via my line, and books have them -6.5, -7, depending on which book you have. So again, just to review, my plays with value via the model: Detroit +3, Atlanta +3, Giants +3, Cleveland -3.5, Philly -3, San Fran -10. And obviously, I've talked about this a lot. If you follow this channel, you already know this is true. It's advantageous to play the majority of underdogs on the money line in NFL, because it's a very important stat. I've covered this a gazillion times, and if you're watching this for the first time, make sure you understand this. A very important concept. Teams that win in NFL cover 80% of the time. I'm going to repeat that. Teams that win in NFL also cover 80% of the time. That means there's only a 20% chance that you're going to need those points. It's a very, very, very small time that you'll need those points. So it's advantageous to play underdogs, especially if you're getting less than 7 points, to play those on the money line. And again, examples of that today would be Detroit, Atlanta, Giants. Yeah, those three there. So if you're going to play them, need to play those on the money line. So anyway, that's the video. Hopefully this helps, and we'll see how we end up today. Again, not necessarily saying I'm going to play all these games, because again, this model's new, so I will approach with caution, making sure I'm not playing public teams, or I might play a public team if we're getting line movement in our favor. We'll have to see when I start handicapping these games here shortly. And if you want access to these power rankings, as well as power rankings for college football, we just had a winning day yesterday in college football. The overall power rankings for college football, all plays with value, went, I think, 14-11, which was 57%. Really good model for college football. If you want access to that weekly, $50 a month. You get also access to all of my coaching videos. If you want access to all of my plays for all sports, in addition to everything on the website, it's $100 a month. And if you want the best value, you can join for an entire year. Instead of paying $100 a month, you can pay $500 one time, about a $600 discount. You get access to everything on the website for $500 for 1 year. Greatly appreciate you watching this video. Subscribe to the channel. Talk to you guys soon. Peace. What